So I have Dr. Jan with me today. She's a doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine, and she's licensed to treat patients in both acupuncture and herbal medicine. She also has extensive education and practice in the art of medical herbology. I hope I said that right.
You did.
I didn't.
You did?
I did. Okay. So, but you know what? That's not all. She has over 35 years of experience working in both Western and Eastern medicine, healthcare settings. Dr. Jan also went back to school and she returned to education to complete a clinical doctoral degree in integrative medicine, women's health, and advanced acupuncture techniques. So this woman is about as educated as you can get, has several years of experience, and she really excels in the art of medical intuition and targets the cause of disease, right? The root cause, what we're all hoping that doctors will help us find so we can eliminate those issues that we may have. And when it comes down to it, she really helps transform health naturally. And so, Dr. Jan, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me, Nicole.
Absolutely. So I haven't had a chance to talk with you all that much, so I'm really excited to be having this conversation. And I had the opportunity to look at your website and familiarize myself a little bit. And it seems like you treat things from sports injuries to women's health and really everything in between. So can you tell us a little bit about your natural medicine practice and how gut health fits into that equation?
Yeah, so I am a practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine, which is really why we can target so many issues. Really, I tell people that if you're having a life-endangering situation, absolutely go to Western medicine. They will save your life and get you out of harm's way. But they really are the experts in emergency medical care, and they excel. They really, admittedly now to themselves, know that they are not the experts in chronic conditions and preventive health. And so traditional Chinese medicine, of course, has been around for thousands of years, estimated 5,000 years now. Even roots even go deeper than that. And so basically, traditional Chinese medicine has been treating chronic issues, acute issues, and preventive medicine for all this time. We can treat emergencies also, but we don't, because of course now Western medicine is far, far beyond traditional Chinese medicine in that realm. But because traditional Chinese medicine treats the whole person, and mainly what we know now in modern research about acupuncture, which is only one of the 5 branches of a comprehensive health system that is traditional Chinese medicine, another taking in herbs, another taking in diet, another taking in exercise, and a 5th taking in what the ancient practice was of physical therapy. I pretty much defer to the physical therapists for that now because they excel at that. But surely nutrition, exercise, and preventive care have been such a big part of the medicine for a long time. We really know now through science. I'm really a science geek, and I love quantum physics, and it tells us so much. It's cutting edge information, truly. And what that tells us now is that we are vibrational frequency at our core. Everything in the natural world, in the universe itself, boils down to frequency. And we know this now. And we know now through 50 years of research in our country on the practice of acupuncture, mostly done by our military, Army and Air Force, that we are an information system, basically. So we can really appreciate that in our information age. We understand computers and information systems, hardwares and softwares, and we are really not that different from a mechanical information system. We have frequencies. We have at least 4 electrical systems that we have discovered now within our body. Mm-hmm. So truly, we are an electrical system of frequencies and information. And so when we talk about gut health, which basically Chinese medicine's tenet for thousands of years has been, the gut is the hub of all of our health. And fortunately, Western medicine now has developed functional medicine where they're on board with this. They now understand truly how beneficial nutrition is for our overall health. So we talk about being the hub of the wheel, basically, and all of our other systems spoke off of this hub of our wheel our reproductive, our respiratory, cardiovascular, all the systems basically work because of this hub in the center holding everything together. So truly gut health is the mother of our health. So we really look a lot at, when looking at the root cause of disease, more often than not, there's really only two ways we can go. It's either the brain or the gut. And, there's the brain-gut axis. So we either have emotional trauma that affects our gut. We know that through neurochemistry and neurochemical receptors in both our brain and our gut. Or our gut is affecting our brain and all the other systems in our body. And so more often than not in our culture, it's the gut, because we have, unfortunately, the standard American diet, which is pretty poor when you talk about nutrition and delivering the nutrients that we need to create a really healthy system.
Absolutely. You said something that I really liked. So I don't know a whole lot about Chinese medicine, so I really enjoyed that whole answer. But I really liked your analogy of it's the hub, it's the wheel, and then it affects everything through its spokes.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me hits the nail right on the head, because as you mentioned, that's what more modern day, what we're learning here.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. I feel like I need to come in and see you soon. So you mentioned nutrition a couple of times. So let's just talk about nutrition for a minute, and how it affects the gut. I know that you offer nutritional counseling, and you just mentioned that it's a big aspect in that wheel that you just illustrated. So when I first saw nutrition, I thought, oh, okay, nutrition, she probably does some counseling on weight loss. But as I got to reading, I noticed that it's a lot more than that. So can you talk a little bit about the foods we put in our body and how they interact with our gut? So really, why is it so important to be conscious of the foods we consume from a gut health perspective?
Yeah, and I'm going to talk a little bit, I'll probably talk about some weird things that people don't really think about, because of course I am really a quantum physics geek, and so I really work with a lot of frequency in my practice, and I refer to the fact that we are frequency, and we have to realize that that's energy, right? It's information. Frequency carries information with it. And so when we eat food, say the standard American diet, which is mostly processed, unfortunately, packaged food. It's in a package with ingredients, sometimes a long list of ingredients that we sometimes can't even pronounce. Yeah. We really realize that this food has been through a factory. It's been modified, it's been ground up, it's been heated, it's been reduced basically in its vibrational frequency. It's not as whole as it used to be before it was packaged and processed. And so when we eat these kind of foods, we're really giving our body a suboptimal product. So it, once in its natural form, that oat that you had growing, that was a whole oat that's now very processed into a food with a lot of ingredients, doesn't have the vibration or the vitality, the information that it once had as a whole food. And so when we eat these, it's like my analogy to my patients, it's like we have a bread factory and we have the trucks bringing in all the ingredients, and if you bring in everything but the yeast, you're not going to have that bread product that you want, that fluffy bread that everyone wants. And so you're going to have a suboptimal product. And same with our bodies. If we bring in nutrients that are suboptimal, or we bring in food that is lacking in nutrients, we're not going to have the end product that we want, which is all the raw ingredients that our cells need to create energy in our little energy factories. They're called mitochondria. They're in every single cell of our body, and they pump out energy all day long. And if you're giving them suboptimal ingredients, they're not going to be pumping out the energy that we need. And then we're not going to have the nutrients, the vitamins, the hormones, just all of the nutrients that we need to create a healthy, strong body. So when you eat whole, real foods that are still vibrating at their quality, and we have to realize that there are nutrients in foods that we haven't even discovered what they are yet. We don't know everything about what's in a food. We isolate ingredients, like when you have, cinnamon extract, it's just the cinnamon. It's just one ingredient in the cinnamon. And there's over 275 constituents in cinnamon itself that make it a whole information system itself that is giving us its information. So we need all that information. And so it's really the reason why we need to be eating real food that has only one ingredient, basically, and you can combine them in a bar that has 3 ingredients or 5, or things that you can pronounce, real whole foods that mix together. One of my favorite foods that I eat is just simply sprouted wheat, raisins, and carrots in a little loaf I buy, and it's just absolutely delicious. It has 3 ingredients, and I feel so good when I eat that. And I know I was just really addicted to the bars that you guys make. They're so delicious.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all really whole foods, real foods that are vibrating with their full information that our body needs. So we need to give our body the information it needs through the food.
I like how you put that, because I've never looked at food as information. It's a whole different perspective, but it makes a whole lot of sense. And especially what you brought up about the cinnamon, like I think of cinnamon like, yeah, it's cinnamon, one thing, right? But you brought up, what was it, 200 or 300 different components?
Yes.
That is fascinating. So when we look at it and when we shift that perspective to looking at it as information, that makes a whole lot of sense as to why we should move towards whole food as opposed to these boxed and fake foods if we need yet another reason or another way to digest that information. So that was very wonderfully put. Thank you for that.
Good, yeah.
So we can really tell that that you treat the body as a whole rather than treating symptoms, that you're looking for the root cause of, in fact, these symptoms. And you went ahead and mentioned that, the gut is basically the hub of Chinese medicine. So can you talk a little bit about the gut-brain axis for us?
Well, so we're an information system, correct? It's like a web. So you can imagine a spider web. And so we have a web of information system in our body that's interconnected in so many different ways. And so the gut is related to the liver, the gut is related to the heart, the gut is related to the kidney, the gut is related to the lung, the gut's related to the brain. The big thing with the gut-brain axis is that we have neurotransmitter chemicals in our brain, basically, and neuroreceptors in our brain that take up these chemicals that give us information then and send information to the rest of the body to elicit other chemical responses. So at the underpinning of chemical responses is information processing in our body. So we don't just have these chemicals that know what to do. We have information telling these chemicals when to emit themselves and what to do. And so we also have equal or at least equal amount of neurotransmitter receptors in our gut, so that when we eat food, we have stretch receptors and nutrient receptors in our gut that speak to our brain. So when we eat fiber, say something really fibrous, we just ate an apple or a carrot, something very fibrous, our stretch receptors tell our brain, oh, lots of fiber just came in. This is good, And when we eat nutrients, so when we wake up in the morning and we eat our breakfast and it's something like a very nutritious breakfast, one of my favorite breakfasts that makes me feel the best is chicken stir fry. It sets me for the day. Chicken and vegetables, and I'm just gung-ho all day long. So my brain is getting the message, wow, vegetables, lots of fibers coming in, and protein and vegetables, lots of nutrients are coming in. So my brain's going, oh, I'm being fed wonderfully. And so it just starts pumping out and it's working really good. And I have all this energy in my brain. And if I say have coffee for breakfast or no breakfast, because I just fasted for a good 8 hours, right? I've slept, I've fasted, my body's reset, rested and repaired during that time. And I get up and I have nothing or coffee. And my brain goes, and I start working, my brain goes, oh, there's no food. Nothing came in, no stretch receptor response touched the brain, no nutrient receptor response touched the brain. And so my brain starts going, okay, I'm gonna really have to start pulling from the body's energy because I'm not getting what I need right now. And so we really tax the rest of our organ systems, most importantly our adrenals, that then have to start pumping out energy. And we've got stress now because no food's come in. And so basically our body is taxed and it's struggling because our brain takes up 1/3 of all the energy in our body. goes to our brain needs that. So we have to have this energy coming in all the time, a good nutritious energy with fiber and nutrients, so that our brain goes, oh, good, I'm getting the food that I need. And so then the rest of the body can do its job and do what it needs. And we stay in so much better balance. So I always tell my patients why it's so good to eat something for breakfast and break that fast.
Mm-hmm.
So many people have not done that for so many years that then they've, what we call in Chinese medicine, they've damaged their stomach qi, or their stomach energy. Their stomach information system has been glitched. And so then well, I'm not hungry in the morning though. And we should be hungry in the morning. Babies are hungry in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Children are hungry in the morning. We're supposed to be hungry in the morning. And so basically, you have to then just start introducing those foods and repairing the digestive system to be ready for food in the morning, because our brain needs that. So there's this constant conversation between our brain and our gut about what's coming in and how we're going to use it, and how the rest of the body then is going to respond to the lack of nutrients that are coming in. Most importantly, like I said, it really taxes the adrenals. And so I see, and I know so many other healthcare providers see in their practices, so many people in this day and age with adrenal fatigue. And Western medicine didn't recognize that for many, many years. And they're starting to recognize it now, I think, because of functional medicine. And we know that stress in our life, and we all have stress, whether it's good stress, bad stress, we all have stress in our life. And the poor adrenals have to just keep dealing with that stress. But when we have small nutritious snacks, some raisins, some apples, some bars from New Earth, these things that are highly nutritious, then our adrenals can sit back and relax and go, okay, good. I don't have to pump out the hormones to keep the blood sugar emitted into the system so that we can work. It can relax, and our food can take care of that for us.
That's fascinating. So I've talked to several different people about the gut-brain axis, and everyone explains it slightly different, right? And I really like the take that the way that you just explained it. I had no idea that the brain requires 1/3 of our energy. I had no clue.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing you said about that we should be hungry in the morning, that had never occurred to me either. I've always been a breakfast eater myself, but I have close friends and family members who won't eat until noon. They say, oh, I'm just not hungry. But the way you explained it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's very fascinating.
Yeah, well, we have these circadian rhythms, and this is a traditional Chinese medicine tenet, which these people thousands of years ago, they were so intelligent, so clever. They didn't have the distractions that we have today. And how they found out this information is still a mystery, but it's really bearing out in Western science now. Everything that they've set down in their comprehensive medical system is really showing in research now to be very, very true and real. And so we know that we have these circadian rhythms in nature, and we are part of nature. We are inextricably connected to nature. We are nature. And so we have circadian rhythms in our body too. And we know that because we have sleep circadian rhythms that we understand. We also have energy circadian rhythms. And so we know now that we have these rhythms in our body. In the morning, between 5 to 9 in the morning, the bulk of the information traveling through our system is now turned on or highlighted. It's got a yellow highlight all over it that is in our digestive system going, okay, I'm ready to receive now. This is the system that wants to receive, and that's in the morning. And so then consequently, that same 12-hour period in the PM, we have the least amount of energy in our digestive system. And we know that too, because we know through science, it's really best to stop eating after 7, right?
Yeah.
People who eat late, eat a big meal late, a lot of times have acid reflux. They don't sleep well. A lot of insomnia can be healed through the gut, and it can be healed through greater nutrients, and it can be healed through stopping eating earlier in the evening, and don't eat a big meal late at night. So we know we have these rhythms. So that's the rhythm of the digestive system in the morning. It's really there to get us going and get our brain food. And a lot of people have brain fog, or they're tired, or they just can't concentrate because they're really not feeding their brain well enough.
That's fascinating. I like that connection to nature, and it makes a lot of sense to want to eat more in the morning, and then as you're, going into the evening hours to kind of slow down and, not eat as much. And I've noticed that in myself. If I eat late, or I decide I'm going to have ice cream or, whatever little treat later in the evening, that I don't sleep as well. So that all aligns, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you talk about information. We talked about the gut-brain axis. Now, how about the gut microbiome? Can you talk about the microbiome and its importance a little bit for us?
Well, so the microbiome is huge, as we've been learning. It really, the microbiome takes in bacterias and good bacteria, and a little bit of yeast, and a balance of good and bad bacteria, actually, and yeast. And so what we know then is that the microbiome has more bacteria in the microbiome than we have cells in our body. So it's, kind of weird to think we really are bacteria. And we need them, and they help so many processes, not just gut process, but hormone production, nutrient production, enzyme production. I mean, so many things these bacteria do, but they have to be in a balance. And so when the gut biome gets out of balance, basically, we become less effective in our digestion. We become less effective in the production of nutrients. These bacteria actually help us absorb and assimilate nutrients. So we become less effective in absorbing our nutrients. There's, so many different factors that we have with, like, say, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, where you have bacteria introduced from the large intestine into the small intestine, which can really be produced through stress and a slowing down of the digestive system. So when we have this gut microbiome, we need to keep it in balance. And so what we need to do is then limit our sugar, which feeds yeast, so that throws it out of balance, moderate our stress, which actually kills our good bacteria and lets the bad bacteria overgrow. And then we have small intestine bacterial overgrowth, we have insomnia, we have all these different factors. So the gut biome is inextricably important. And how we can adjust our gut biome is by eating whole foods, again, because a lot of these whole foods are prebiotic. And so we always talk about probiotics, and probiotics are fabulous because they give us nutrients that we need, probiotics that we need, gut bugs that we need. But when we eat real food, we're actually getting prebiotics, and those prebiotics are like the substrate, the food for the good bacteria. Okay. And then we can actually regrow our own good bacteria, and we just keep that colony really balanced that way. Also, what's really been new in science in probably the last half a dozen years is the knowledge that our appendix houses our own individual thumbprint of our bacteria, of our microbiome. And so when you have an appendix, fortunately, you can recolonize these things very well. You eat good food, you recolonize your gut really well. When you don't have an appendix, you can still repopulate your gut because you will always have some of those good bacteria in your good colony in there. But you have to be much more careful about eating really healthy foods because you don't, unfortunately, have that gland that is there to make that bacteria to repopulate our army, basically. And I talk to my patients about our gut biome as being our army. It's really, if we want to have the strongest army in the world, we have, the American army. We are the strongest and the best. We can fight our foes. We really need to support that army. And if we don't support that army, we're going to have a crummy army. We're going to be overtaken by our invaders, and we're going to be killed, at worst. But we truly will not have the defense that we need for our body to fight off so many viruses and bacteria and keep us healthy. So I hope I answered your question.
That totally answers it. I like the analogy of an army, but what I didn't know was the information about the appendix and how it helps support our microbiome. Because I know there's a lot of people out there today who have had their appendix removed for one reason or another. And in my mind, I was like, oh, we must not really need the appendix if they're taking it out of so many people.
Yeah, but, we need all of the organs.
But that's fascinating. That's something new that I learned today. So that's very fascinating. And talking about prebiotics, we've heard a lot about probiotics and reseeding our gut with those probiotics. But the prebiotics to actually feed the bacteria, I haven't heard a whole lot about that. So that, again, thank you for touching on that, because to me, that's new information. Hopefully, everyone else listening is hearing some new tidbits as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like fertilizer, you know,
Okay.
prebiotics, which really are fibrous vegetables, you know. Asparagus and Brussels sprouts are the two most dense and beneficial prebiotic foods that we can eat. But certainly all of the leafy green fibrous vegetables are certainly prebiotic. All in carrots, all the vegetables are prebiotic. So it's like fertilizer. You're fertilizing your good gut bacteria.
And yet again, another reason to focus on our whole foods is we just keep hearing that over and over again. And you've provided several different reasons to get back to whole foods. And so that's fantastic. Speaking of whole foods, we're doing something called a 30-day gut reboot. And we're kind of in between reboots right now. We just ended one last week and we're starting our next one on Monday. And I know that sometimes people have a difficulty changing their habits and changing their diets. And so we've created this group to kind of, be a support system and an accountability system, and, just a place where people can go to rally around and help make those changes. So why would you say that it's beneficial to, start making shifts in a group setting like this?
Well, gosh, there's power in numbers, right? Yeah, it's always good. It's hard to change habits. There's been an adage for a long time. It takes at least 28 days of continual repetition to change your habit. And diet habits are really the hardest to change because they're rooted in so much emotion. Mm-hmm. And we didn't talk a lot about emotion, but emotion too is one of the factors that influence the gut, definitely, through our gut-brain axis. But truly, it's really good to have others who are working towards the same goal, because then you have others to inspire you. And I think it's wonderful that you have the group. We really need help so often, and especially with diet change, because we get in such habits and we're in our home by ourselves and we're used to buying these foods, and we go to the grocery store and we're in the habit of buying the same foods. And I tell people all the time, just make baby steps. You'll take one thing and decide to eliminate it and replace it with something healthy. And it doesn't have to be all at one time. It's steps. You're in a process. It's really a journey of changing your habits so that you can get to a new plateau of better habits for better health. So it really is small steps. And it's wonderful to be on a journey with someone else, right? Because you don't feel as lonely. You can call somebody if you want to, or get on the website and meet with others and talk about maybe what foods you replaced or how you're doing this or whatnot. But yeah, it certainly is wonderful to have a group effort to help us change our habits.
Absolutely. And, I like what you said, because we really are on a journey, and there's always a way to improve. And if we just focus on one step at a time, it seems so much more manageable in hitting that next plateau. And then, okay, what's next? And then what's next?
Yeah, it has to be sustainable. You really have to be able to create something that's sustainable. So when you do it slowly on a journey, and you're not, into the instant gratification of, I want to be different right now. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And we have to remember that life is a journey, and really instant gratification is something that's very new to our world, and it's really not serving us all very well. Right. So we have to remember that it's a process that we're going through.
Yeah, and one to be enjoyed while we're at it. Learn from it, enjoy it. So I do need to wrap up because I've got another thing coming up here shortly. But I don't think I let everyone know where they can find out more information about you. I never mentioned the name of your practice. So can you tell people, if they wanted to connect with you after this, how they could find you?
Yeah. My practice name is Basin Natural Medicine. I live in the Klamath Basin, so that's why it's Basin Natural Medicine. And the best way to contact me is through my website. It's basinnaturalmedicine.com. And there's an email there. There's information. I'm in the process right now of including a blog in my website. So that's something new that's going to be coming. I've just revamped my whole website. So I feel it's quite lovely, and we'll be filling up with even more information. So basinnaturalmedicine.com.
Fantastic. Well, Dr. Jan, thank you so much for carving time out for us today. I myself learned a lot. I really appreciate your time, and I know our viewers are going to enjoy this just as much as I did. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Great. Thanks, Nicole. I really enjoyed it too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.